It started as just kind of nothing serious. My best friend Steph and I originally, it was just gonna kind of be a way for us to record our adventures, like in bands we saw and stuff. And it just kind of grew into more than that. It like blossomed, I guess. We started doing interviews instead of just like writing down like bands that we saw, and it just grew. And it'll be a year in a couple days actually that we've had the blog up. It's been a learning experience. I think that's probably the best way to sum it up this past year, because that's what it's been. I mean, we've had some great bands and we've met some really fun people, but we're constantly learning and constantly changing the ways we approach things, and how we manage our time and how we manage being so far from each other and trying to collaborate and get together, and and also always need a good internet connection. So that's been hard, but yeah, it's definitely been a learning experience, and I'm sure it'll continue to be that way forever, but this past year has been pretty intense. We have Craig Owens from Chiodos, we have New Politics, we have American Authors, Ron Pope, Kingsfoil, we have Man on Earth, and a couple other bands that are like not really as well known. I can't remember the names of them at the moment. But my favorite would probably have to be Ron Pope, though. That's my man. He's my favorite artist of all time. So that was the only one we haven't done in person, or like Skype or phone. He could only do an email interview, which I don't really think is that legit, but I mean, it was still good to hear back from him, and I'm still happy about it, so I can't really complain. I mean, even though it was, and I just say that because it's my favorite musician of all time. His music's been a big influence in my life, and even though we didn't get to do it in person or like over the phone, it still was really important to me, and I was still super, super excited about it. And I've met him twice, actually, so I was like, I kind of wish I would start my blog then, and I could have interviewed him when I met him, but it's still definitely actually my favorite one. And it didn't get that many hits because not many people know who Ron Pope is, but it was important to me, and I'm still super stoked about it. Because I've always had like issues expressing emotions, and music kind of helped me relate, and it kind of helped me kind of express myself through that. It was kind of nice to know that if I was going through something, there's a song about it. Someone wrote a song about pretty much anything you can go through in your life. There's a song about it out there somewhere. You gotta find it, but still. And like Ron Pope, his music has always really spoke to me on like a really deep emotional kind of level. And I think his music is really what like triggered me into being super, super passionate. I mean, when I was younger, I was always listening to 3 Days Grace. I was obsessed with them forever. And Trapped I was super into. But it's always been an escape for me, and it continues to be to this day. It's something that if I need to block out things that are happening, I sit down with my headphones and just blast, Of Mice and Men or We Came as Romans, or still Ron Pope to this day. I have all 6 albums and all the singles that he's released. So it's, yeah. No, it's comforting to know that they're doing that kind of stuff for what I think are the right reasons, because you're passionate, because it's a way to express yourself and a way to escape. It's just really nice to kind of connect with them on that kind of level, you know. Most people in the bands are super, super, super excited about getting interviewed. No matter who they are, they're like normal people. Like anybody off the street is going to be excited about an interview or anything. And I guess that's another thing, that they're really, most of them, I'm not going to say all of them, but most of them are really down to earth, and they're like normal people. They're not like, you know, high and mighty. They're not like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes we put band members up on like this pedestal and we're like, oh, you're greater than me. But really, they're normal people. They just might excel in something different than you do, but they're not like a god, you know. And I think that's kind of an important thing. And I think most of them, I'm not saying all of them, most of them like to be treated like they're a normal person. They don't want to be treated like, oh, that's that band member, I got to talk to him because he's in this band that I like. Like, no. They want you to sit down and have a beer and talk about, I don't even know, stupid stuff, sports or whatever. Like, they really don't care. So it's kind of, it's refreshing and kind of nice to realize that. I think we really strive to try to not ask generic questions. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but like when we write up a list of our questions, we try to make sure they're not like just, you know, when did your band start and where did the name come from? Like, I don't know. We try to ask like stuff like, where's your favorite place to eat in all the towns you've been to? Like stuff like that you would know if you were their friends, kind of thing. Like, what's your favorite band and why? You know, not, I don't know. We just try to go at a different angle, and I think that makes us a little bit different than a lot of the other blogs that are out there. We really have our heart set on interviewing The Used and Say Anything. We tried to get a hold of Say Anything, and their manager told us that they would do email interviews. And we did that with Ron Pope, and while that works, we really wanted to have like an in-person or an over-the-phone interview with them, just because I feel like you lose a little bit of the emotion and the personalization, I guess, for lack of a better term, over email. You know, I feel like it's very like, you know, this is a sentence to answer your question, not like, hold on, let me think about it and kind of go with it. It's like, oh, I have 3 hours, I can think about the perfect response to this. And it's just not as genuine when you do it over email. And so that one we're still kind of trying to sweet talk the manager, but I don't know if it'll happen. But we want to try to get The Used. I think they're playing South by Southwest this year. But we would really like to get a hold of The Used. We emailed their manager and haven't heard back yet. But hopefully that'd be great. That'd be pretty sweet. That would be up there with above of Mice and Men, honestly. That would be great. Fall Out Boy is like the pinnacle of our blog, I guess. Like if we could interview them and get them on our blog, that would be like, I really wouldn't know what to do after that. Like, what do you do after you interview Fall Out Boy? Like, what's left in life? You know, like, there's no one else. So that's what we're working towards. We'll see when it happens. I would eventually want to graduate it to doing probably on camera interviews, but that's like distant future. Like I would love to have like my own studio and be able to bring bands in, you know, and interview them in person, like on camera, but that's a distant goal right now. That's like way in the future. Our immediate goals right now are just fixing up the site and just going with what we're going with right now. Posting more, trying to get a couple more like lesser known bands in there too, because that was kind of another part of it, is that we wanted to get bands that don't get a whole lot of recognition. We wanted to get them, you know, out there and get their name out there too. So that would be our immediate goal for right now, is trying to get more of them on there. No, Steph actually lives in New York, in Manhattan, and we kind of just keep in touch and collaborate that way. I actually met her at a show in New York, my friend's band Man on Earth. I actually went up to New York with my best friend Matt, and he wanted to go to this bar with one of his friends, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go see this band. And so I went by myself, and Steph and I had actually tweeted that we were going to the same show, but we didn't know each other at all. And Nathan, who is the vocalist for the band, it's Man on Earth, by the way, he was like, hey, I think you guys are at the same show. You guys should hang out. You're both by yourselves. And I remember I was in the front of the stage, and I turned around, and I saw her, and I was like, hey! And we were, like, instant friends, like, literally, like, 2 seconds. She's like, hey! And we just hung out the whole time. And we, like, have the same goals in life, both journalism students, both, like, super into music and bands, and it was, like, instantaneous friendship, so it was fun. Sugar We're Going Down, which is, like, mine and her's favorite song. That's, like, one of the songs that, like, brought us together. I was like, you like this song? She's like, it's my favorite song. I was like, it's my favorite song. And we were blasting it in my car, and I remember the moment we were just, like, blasting the song in my car, singing it at the top of our lungs, and that was, like, when we, like, bonded. Like, that was, like, instant friend. Well, I mean, we're already friends, but that's when we, like, really became close. So our ultimate goal is Fall Out Boy. Actually, we would love to possibly interview them at some point, but we'll see what happens. Steph actually just did an interview of Mice and Men, which is a really well-known band, so that's, like, our first step towards, like, a bigger audience. I mean, that's not to say, like, New Politics and, like, Ron Pope and stuff aren't, but Of Mice and Men they're pretty up there on the totem pole, so hopefully this opens a new doorway. We'll kind of see where it goes from there. Steph kind of did that one on her own, which is kind of upsetting but still exciting at the same time. I think it was like a spur of the moment thing that she got to do, and she actually did that over Skype with them. So I've yet to see what she's written up for them, because it just happened like a week ago, but I'm really excited to edit it and see what exactly happened and what they talked about. So, but still, it's a huge leap for the blog and a huge step for us, and it's one of my favorite bands personally, so super excited. We both kind of like search out bands and talk to them. I would say that I do more of the editing and Steph does more of the interviewing, because editing, stuff like that is my forte. Like editing the written word I'm really quick on picking up that kind of stuff. And she has better access to bands living in New York. Here in Morgantown, number one, it's hard for me to fit it into my schedule. And number two, I like to do in-person interviews, and I can't really do that down here with a lot of bands. But she can, and she has a little bit extra time because she's not in school, so she can go out and, you know, meet these bands just down the street from her, whereas it would take me 8 hours to get up there. You know, I'd have to make a trip out of it. So I'd say she probably does more of the interviewing and I do more of the editing for it. Yeah, it gets difficult, especially when we're trying to remodel the site, And it gets difficult because we both have different ideas and we both think we're right. And we're both very strong-willed and strong-headed, so we clash a lot over that. And it gets hard, especially when you're not in person, like over the phone and text or whatever. It's easy to like kind of say things that you wouldn't say if you were face to face, you know, and it's hard. So, but I mean, for the most part, we can usually figure out, you know, what we need to do, and one of us might not like it, but we'll figure out what's best and go with it. I just want it to look more professional, and I want to have like, we wanted to do like an album of the week or like a song of the day kind of thing, you know, like, and we wanted it to be more interactive with people. As it is right now, we don't have a huge following on it, and I want to build that, but right now with the site the way it is, it doesn't look like super put together. It doesn't look like a music blog. It just kind of looks like blog, you know, like I don't feel like anyone's going to take it seriously, but we both want to kind of go different directions as far as design goes, and so it's really hard to agree on, like we each have a different vision, and it's hard to agree on how we want to play that out, I guess. Because the layout on there is really terrible, and we've actually crashed our site. After we did the Craig Owens interview, our site kept crashing, and because there's just not enough, it just can't handle that much traffic on it, and I would probably start it out on like WordPress or something that can handle a little more, and I would probably tell past self to find the money and go to South by Southwest last year. Like, that was, I'm sad I missed out on that. But that's probably it. I mean, I'm glad that it kind of slowly grew. It wasn't like just suddenly in your face. It was a very gradual thing, which I think helped us both helped us learn the kind of questions we need to ask and how we need to approach like band managers and stuff. But I would definitely tell myself not to put it on Tumblr because it's terrible. I mean, even though we own the domain, it still can't handle that much traffic. So, and that's another thing we're struggling with, trying to figure out where we want to move it to. It's a lot of coding and really intense stuff because we really don't want to hire someone else to do it, so we kind of got to try to do it ourselves. We've gotten emails from people who read the blog but don't follow it on Tumblr. I'm not sure what the follower count is right now. The last time I checked, it was 115, I think, which is a decent amount. I mean, not huge, but I don't know what it is right now. I haven't looked in a while, but like I said, we've gotten emails from people who read the blog but don't actually follow it per se, so there could be more people reading it than what actually shows on the ticker. And there's no way on Tumblr, which is another reason I wish we were on Tumblr. We can't, maybe we just can't figure it out, how to see how many hits you're getting. So that's another thing we're trying to figure out and incorporate. I mean, if we've crashed the site, obviously we're getting a lot of people looking at it, but I just don't think there's that many followers. So even if you don't think you can do it, try. I'm so glad that we started out doing this, and start out small. Start out local bands. Local bands are going to be so stoked. Like, they don't care that you only have 2 people following your blog. Do it. Just go for it, because you never know. You never know what you're going to be doing in a year. I never in a million years would have imagined we'd have Of Mice and Men interview on our blog. Never. And we have it. Well, it will be on there soon. But, yeah, anybody who wants to attempt it should do it. Because this is my dream, is to have a blog like this and to be able to interview bands. And I get music and I get, journalism all meshed into one. My two favorite things, so I can't complain. And anybody else who wants to do it, I say go for it. There's a lot of competition out there, but go for it. You never know. I feel like anytime you do something of this caliber, you're going to have those kinds of doubts, and you're going to question, like, is this even going to go anywhere? Like, are we going to get these interviews and then 2 years down the road it's going to be stale, but it's something that we both want and that we've both wanted our entire lives, and we're going to try our damnedest to make it happen. And if it doesn't happen, then we had a good run, like, I'm still going to be stoked that it happened, but I'm not going to dwell on it, I guess. And if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. No big deal. Move on to the next thing.